This is how to start making content as a powerlifting coach that's going to grow your following and especially help you to bring in new athletes. Here's why you should listen to me. I have grown organically 16,000 followers. In the last 30 days, have 1.3 million views. I've had this as high as 5 million when I was really pushing the content hard. Here's some more metrics. 2,000 followers gained in the last month, 175 pieces of content put out in the last month. So I have gone hard. I have seen the results. And not only have I gained Instagram success, I have a team of over 85 athletes working under myself and my 2 assistant coaches. And those are not assistant coaches who have any real social media presence. My Instagram content has brought in 90% of all of the athletes on the team. So if you're a powerlifting coach and you want to grow your business and you don't know where to start with content, this is the video for you. So the most important thing with making content is knowing your audience. If you don't know who you're talking to, you have no idea if your content is going to work. I think it was Seneca who said, no wind is favorable if you don't know to which port you are sailing. So the first question you have to ask yourself is, who do you want to work with? Some of the things you consider are, what are their goals? Probably powerlifting. But more specifically, maybe their goals are acting at a national level. Maybe it's 400 dots. Maybe it's 1,000 pound total, 15,000 or 1,500 pound total, 2,000 pound total. Know your niche. Know what kind of goals you want to help people work towards. Maybe it's also goals related to powerlift while getting a 6-pack, or powerlift while running a 5K, or powerlift while staying athletic. Know the goals who you want to work with and make sure your content speaks to that person. Next, you can niche to gender. I work mostly with men. Some people work with both. Some people specialize in women. Know the age range you're speaking to. Are you speaking to high school and college kids? It's a lot of powerlifters. It's a lot of who I work with, but they don't have as much money. Are you speaking to people who are graduated from college? Are you speaking to people who are old enough to have kids, people who are 30, 40? Know who you're speaking to. Next is the experience level, which often relates back to goals. Are you trying to work with beginner powerlifters, intermediates, advanced? And make sure you're speaking to that. Next, maybe you want to niche to outside hobbies, people who are gamers, people who like anime, people who like to hunt, who like to fish, people who like cars, people who like music, all kinds of outside hobbies that you can work into your content that are going to help you to niche further. And this doesn't have to mean you can't make content that doesn't talk about these outside hobbies, but you want to make sure you're including these in your content somewhere. Next are beliefs. I personally work with a lot of Christian men, Catholics specifically. You can start working in your religious beliefs, you can work in your political beliefs, or things that you stand for that are really important to you. That can be another part of your niche. And once you've decided on your niche, you know who you're speaking to, which you should write all of these out. You then need to ask yourself, what are the major pain points of that niche? With my specific niche of being men who are Christian, conservative, mostly like college age and intermediate to advanced level, and don't really work with many beginners. Lack of progress is always the number one concern. If you're working with beginners, lack of progress isn't a concern because you're going to make progress regardless. But maybe your niche's issues are timing their training around their period. Maybe it is knowing what to do when they're in the gym because they have no plan. Maybe it's accountability because they tend to skip a lot of workouts. There's all kinds of things that could be the major pain points, and you want to write those down as well. And these are going to be the primary topics of your videos. Next, you can ask yourself for more minor pain points, and you can occasionally deviate out into these. For my niche, it's often asymmetries, little things that are in the program, and knowing what to do in terms of rest time, what kind of warm-up jumps should they be taking, things like that. Weight cuts for competition, maintaining strength while cutting, or not getting too fat while bulking, are all little problems that aren't the main focus of most of my content. It's not really focused on solving these problems much. It's mostly focused on solving these, but you can still pull inspiration from these minor pain points. The next question to ask yourself is, what do you want to be known for? This kind of relates back to niche, but it's often a big part about how you present yourself inside of your niche. Maybe you want to be known for the nerdy, in-depth talk. Maybe you want to be the no BS, results first approach guy. Maybe you want to be the super technical guy who gets really deep into the nitty gritty. Maybe you're more of a funny coach. You make a lot of comedy in your posts and use that to sell and relate to your audience. Or maybe you're more of the emotionally open, supportive guy. You're open about your own mental health struggles, and you're going to attract athletes who want help with those sorts of things. Personally, some of the things that I want to be known for are a no BS results first approach. I want to be known for some of the best results in the entire powerlifting scene for every athlete who joins my team. I don't want it to just be world-class lifters who work with me and get good results. I want it to be everyone who works with me gets crazy results. And so when you watch my content, you'll see I am posting advice for people of all kinds of levels, and I'm posting on my story all the time PRs of all my athletes, not just my best athletes. I also want to be known for sharing my faith, so that's something else I post about often. Lastly is a little bit of actual market research. So you can go on this website, viralfinder.com. So lastly is going to be a little bit of market research. You're going to pick out 3 coaches. You can pick more later, but you can only do 3 on this website per day who are in your niche and who you think are crushing it. People who you are inspired by and maybe want to emulate. But you should actually think about it a little bit. Don't just pick like the most popular coach you can think of. Think of somebody who works with the types of lifters who you want to work with. And then you're going to look them up on viralfinder.com, and you're going to take note of what hooks are they using, what topics are they speaking about, and how are they filming. So after you have searched in this user search section the people who you want to look up, in this results tab, you can see the different profiles. I went with Joe Sullivan, Seth Albertsworth, and Stuart Locke. You go in here, you can look at their profile, and you can see what their best performing posts are. You're going to want to take notes of, like mentioned, what are they talking about? So like in both of these videos, Joe is talking about technique. One is technique on belt squats. One of them is technique on barbell squats. In particular, he is correcting bad habits that are really popular. Then you're going to also want to know what type of video are they using. So Joe here is doing a green screen. On this one, Joe is talking while he's demonstrating the exercise in the gym. Joe also has some inspirational mindset-focused content. This is a voiceover with lots of different clips that are relevant. Here we have a warm-up drill where he's just demonstrating in the gym. Here we have current events. The point is I'm going through all these different accounts and I am looking at the different posts to see what kind of content is performing well in my niche. If we look at Seth here, we've got a video that's on accessories and he's using an overlay. Here we have a meet recap, and here we have a deadlift technique video. And one of the things that I found interesting was when I looked at this meet recap, it actually had a pretty inspirational caption too. Then if we come and look at Stu, we see a powerlifting hot takes video, and here he's just sitting talking to the camera. There is no relevant videos. Next, we have him sharing his testimony of his faith, which is kind of in that inspirational sort of category. And then here we have a correcting common bracing issues that people have with a whiteboard. So we see a wide variety of different types of content being used by these guys, but some of the things that are common across all 3 is the inspiration piece. And I personally think that's part of what made them stand out to me, is the fact that they're willing to inspire their audience is what makes them stick in my head when I'm thinking of people. So maybe you got a few ideas from the Viral Finder, but here's another great way to get ideas. You're going to ask yourself, what issues are you solving for the athletes who you already have? This is assuming you have some athletes. Next, what mistakes do you see other lifters making in the gym? Especially if you go to a powerlifting gym, you see other powerlifters, or maybe you see people dabbling in powerlifting. Hopefully your ideal niche is at the gym you train at, and look around and see what mistakes people are making. Then, what questions are people DMing you to ask you about? Is it, hey, can you help me with my form on this? Or, hey, I'm dealing with pain with this. What should I do? If nobody's DMing you, then next option is we're going to post polls like, what's your worst lift? And you're going to obviously have squat, bench, deadlift as all 3 options. I would recommend throwing some other captions on the story post. Something like, I want to make more content that can help you guys, but first I need to figure out what you guys actually need the most help with. So what's your worst lift? And then everyone who votes, DM them, and in your own voice, you're basically asking them, what do you think is the main thing holding back your squat, or your bench, or your deadlift? And say, I might make a post on that issue if you give me some ideas. And then you can also try posting a Q&A on your story where you just say, what's your biggest bench press struggle? What's your biggest squat struggle? What's your biggest deadlift struggle? And people will give you some ideas. If you don't have much of a following, your Q&A may not get much engagement. Your DMs may not have many questions. If you don't have any athletes, you may not have many problems you're solving. But this poll method will get you some answers to things you can start doing. However, before you post it, I would suggest clearing everything that's on your story and leave it up for 24 hours. Don't touch it. If you want to post 2 polls back to back, maybe you can do that. But if you're going to do back to back, you want to do it as quick as possible. So maybe there's like 1 minute, 2 minutes in between, and make sure you have a poll or some sort of Q&A on both sides. So maybe you could do both of these and say, what's your worst lift? Squat, bench, deadlift as a poll. Next story, what's the number one thing holding back your total? See if anyone responds, because both of them are highly engaging stories. Instagram's algorithm is going to pick it up and it's going to start pushing your story out to more people. You're going to get way more views, way more interactions, way more conversations started to have more content ideas. So once you've done a fair bit of market research, you should have a good list of ideas of possible content ideas. And if you've taken a look at some of the creators in your space, you should have a good idea of what kind of hooks you can use, as well as what kind of topics people like to hear about, as well as what sorts of filming methods people like, whether it's green screen, whether it's just sitting talking to the camera, overlays, text on screen, whatever it is in your niche that's doing well. Try replicating some of those hooks, talk about those content ideas, and solve people's problems. There's a couple more pieces of advice that I will be going into much more in depth on some other videos, but you want to make sure you're solving specific problems and make sure your posts are applicable. If your advice is, hey, you should have a good program and make smart decisions, everybody knows that. Tell them, what does a good program look like? What's something that they could add to their program today that could lead to results long term? And bonus points if when they check out your post, they can apply it immediately and see an immediate benefit. An example of this is giving a warm-up drill for, let's say, knee pain. Someone tries it out, they go to the gym, and their knees don't hurt anymore. Huge win, and they are going to love you right away. If you give programming advice, it might take a month or even a few months before you'll notice a big difference, though. But still worth doing because it will warm up the lead long term.